In this video I'll be showing you how I drew this cat Dennis in 2 hours. It's in coloured pencils on pastel mat. I'm also using pastel pencils which are Faber Castell, Pitt Pastels and Carbothellos. I'll also be using watercolour paints, gouache paints as a base, which speed up the process. So before I put the paint on the paper, I'm just using this grey Polychromos to mark out certain areas. This is just to make sure I can still see these areas once I've put the gouache on, because the gouache is quite opaque. So I'm using permanent white gouache and just painted it on all the areas of the face where the cat is white. So I'll kind of blend the paint in a little bit. So instead of straight lines, I'll just make it a little bit jagged, and then it makes it a little bit easier when I put the pencil on afterwards. So you can see here, just trying to leave certain areas around the mouth, the side of the face, and around the nose, just to give me more of an idea where everything is. Okay, so that's the white just about done. As you can see, there's certain areas where it does soak in, so I go over them a little bit more. With pastel matte, the pencils will soak in as well. I'll leave it for a day and then come back and add some more, but I'll show you that later. So here we are with the black. As you can see around the ears, I've been quite careful to keep the line of the ear. I'll change that a bit with the coloured pencils afterwards, but just want to keep that fairly sharp. And the rest of it, it's really just a matter of following the initial sketch and leaving some parts, such as this around the base of the ear, and then the rest is just filling in. The reason for using the gouache as a base on the drawing is to speed up, or considerably speed up the drawing. It just helps so much by filling in all that background. So if I wanted to speed it up more, I could have got a bigger brush. But this one helps with the edges, where it goes the black into the white. So I keep those kind of rough, which helps when you put the pencil on later. So that's most of the black done now. There's just a few areas where it needs to be grey, so I'm just mixing a little bit of white in with it. The grey is just, it doesn't have to be completely exact, you know, to the photo. It's just rough, really. It's the same with the whole base, it's just rough blocking in, and you know, it's just a base. It's going to be changed with the coloured pencils afterwards. So that's the grey just about done, and you can see it's looking like the cat now. It's just a matter of the fine details. So I'll go in with the coloured pencils and do the eyes next. The eyes are always where I start a portrait first, but not in this case because we're just putting the blocking in the background. So that's done. We can concentrate on the eyes now. So just take your time with the eyes. Follow the lines. There's no rush with this. This is probably the hardest bit of the portrait. Just take your time with it. So that's the pupils in place. Like I say, take your time with them because they're really important to be looking in the right direction. You want both of them to be as perfect as possible. Kind of looks a little bit wonky at the moment, but the eye on the left is going to have quite a bit of dark above the pupil. We'll extend it a little bit. But yeah, it's quite important to get these right, so take your time with them. So what I'm using on the eyes is the Carbothello pencils. These are pastel pencils that blend much easier and quicker than the coloured pencils. So the whole point of this drawing was was to do the whole thing as quickly as possible. Usually with a pet portrait, it can take anywhere between 5 hours and 25 hours. But by doing all this groundwork first, you cut that considerably. So like I say, the only real detail on this cat that takes any real amount of time is the eyes. And then once you've done them, it's just a matter of putting in the shading on the rest of the cat, which is, you know, it's relatively quick and easy because you've done most of it with the gouache. So the colours that I'm using on the eyes, the original photo, the cat has quite pale eyes. Some cats have really bright coloured eyes. This one's quite pale, same as the nose. The nose is very, very light pink. So with the eyes, it's not desperately important that you use, you know, any particular shade of yellow, because you're going to blend it with the greens and the other colours afterwards. So if you put the colour on and it looks a little bit off, don't worry about it. You can go over it with the pastel pencils. It's much easier than going over coloured pencils. So like I say, it's not desperately important to use the correct colours every single time. You know, this colour that I'm using now is the wrong colour, so it's trial and error. So I've abandoned that. I use a different one later and just blend it until I'm happy with the colours. So here I am with another one. Try this one, see how that goes. And again, if it doesn't work, I'll try another. So with the eyes, I've put a base of kind of creamy yellowy colours. Now I'm going in with some greys, a light grey and a dark grey, just to give it a bit more depth. You can see I'm filling in the shadow of the eyebrows now. That starts to bring the eye to life, makes it stand out and gives it a three-dimensional look. So it's all just a matter of blending in now. Keep referring to the reference and just adding bits of colour slowly. The edges of the eyes, this can be done with the pastel pencil, as I'm doing there, or you can use the coloured pencil, or you can use a combination of both, pastel first and then the coloured pencil over the top. I tend to use the pastel first and the coloured pencil over the top because it doesn't really take the other way around. If you put the coloured pencil on first, you'll really struggle to put pastel over the top, but it works fairly well the other way around. So you can do all the blending, you can do all the colours, blend them all in, change them as you like with the pastel pencils, and then touch up with fine highlights with the coloured pencils if you want to. So such as the white on the eye, you can do that with a coloured pencil. You can do it with a pastel pencil, but I tend to use the coloured pencil for the highlights. Museum Aquarelle white Caran d'Ache is one of the I find one of the most opaque whites, so I tend to use that, or the Pablo white. So I'm just starting to put a little bit more colour on the eyes. As you can see, it's already started to look quite well. It's looking more three-dimensional. So this is just it's just a continuation of the building up the colour on the eyes. Just a bit more green, and then a little bit more yellow. There's creams in there, a little bit of orangey brown around the bottom right of the eyes, and then more of the dark grey at the top, a little bit of green, dark green there at the top, That's just the where the eyebrows are casting a shadow on the eye, and yeah, it's just build it up slowly. So I've done most of the shading on the eyes. This is the Derwent drawing pencil. This is one of the blackest black pencils. It's quite waxy, but it's very black. So I'm just using a little bit on the pupils. So the eyes are just about done now. I'll probably tweak them a little bit afterwards, but on the whole they look okay. It's not taking long, it's only taken about 20 minutes. You can take longer if you like, you know, you don't have to rush with it. But this is just to show that you know, it can be done relatively quickly. So all I'm doing now is just blending the black into the white. I'll do the same later with the white, using a sharp pencil and just pushing the white lines into the black and vice versa. So you can see there I'm going quite quickly. I'm blending in the little gaps in the paper, blending the black into the grey. So all I'm doing here is just using the pencil on an angle, and the little scribble on the paper is just to give it just a little bit more of a sharp point without putting it through the pencil sharpener. So here I've done the some of the black lines going into the white. Now I'm just doing a few flicks of the pencil of the white going into the black. It's all kind of random. Some parts you put a little bit more pressure on than others, but because this is quite an intense opaque white, you don't have to press too hard, and you can try and rotate the pencil to give you another sharp edge. So you can see there that I'm pushing the pencil in quite fairly hard to fill in the gaps on the pastel mat. You don't have to go mad with it, it's just building up the white. So I'm just using a sharp white Pablo pencil now, just to do some of the fine white hairs. I have one or two of these pencils sharpened, just ready, so I don't have to stop to sharpen them. I can just carry on with the fine lines with them. So as I go around the outside of where the black and the white fur meets, so I'm doing short strokes of fine lines of the black and alternating with the same with the white, and you just go around the whole thing, you know, in a kind of random way. Every now and again you'll put in a single strand of white on its own. It just adds to the realism. just adding a little bit of light grey over the marks that I did originally before I put the white gouache on. So I'm just doing small just small strokes, quite light, not much pressure. Again, it's not really important to have a particular shade of grey. This is just a light grey. It's I think a warm grey, I think a 2 or a 3, but you know, anything similar. And this is just a slightly darker grey, where it's a little bit darker around the mouth. But you can see I'm not, you know, spending any, you know, any amount of time on that. The whole thing is going quite quickly with most of the pencils. The only time I've really slowed down is around the eyes. So now I'm just doing some grey on the black. There's certain patches on the cat that are a little bit lighter. So again, I'm, you know, not spending a huge amount of time with this. Filling in those gaps with the pastel pencil, so I can go over the top of that with the coloured pencils if I want to. So here again I'm just kind of going a little bit quick, just blocking it in with the white. I'll be putting colours over the top, darker colours and what have you. So I'm just toning down that white now with the grey, leaving some small patches of white. It's all kind of random. So here I'm just adding a couple of light browns, just blending them on the ear. And now with the black pencil and blending in the outside of the dark area to the inside, the lighter area. Some more blending in with the black pencil, just blending in the black against the grey filling in the background of the pastel mat. So it's just blending it all in together. So I'm going quite quick here, and then I'll slow down a little bit at the end to do the proper detail. But at this stage, it can be the pencils can be, you know, pushed on fairly hard and fairly quickly. So there I'm starting to just blend the black into the white fur. So here I'm going quite quickly with the black, and you vary the pressure with the pencil. There's areas where you push it on really hard and other areas where you'll do it fairly gently. So what I'm doing here, you can't see very well. I'm just doing the very edges of the black fur. I'm pushing fairly hard to blend in the black line of the fur, just to soften it up a little bit. So here on the ear, I've just got a dark grey, blending in the black into the lighter grey. So you just do little strokes of darken it more in some places. So again here I'm just doing fine strokes of black on the grey. You can see that you know, there's a mix of different shades, there's different blacks, greys, light grey, dark grey. So here I'm just doing a couple of whiskers. The trick to whiskers is to have a very sharp pencil and be confident. You don't want to waver with your pencil stroke because then you'll have to correct it afterwards. But if you do it, if you try to do it in one go, you know, maybe have a couple of practices on some scrap paper with a dark pencil just to see how your lines are. But yeah, just be confident with those lines. So we're almost done with the first part of this video. It's been around an hour. The second one is about the same amount of time, around an hour. So there's a link at the end to go straight to that video. There's also a link to subscribe if you wish to. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching this little demo